Okay, in the last video I was talking about some teaching strategies for the writing prompt section of the SSAT, and so now I'm going to go over some ideas for how you can use graphic organizers, sentence starters, and I'm going to go over sort of a sample lesson for this. So the first concept is this idea of a graphic organizer. So what a graphic organizer is, and I'm just going to go to Google and show you what this looks like, is if you do an image search under graphic organizers. Whoops, I even spelled it wrong and it came up correctly. You'll get these sort of spiderweb type. And there are lots of different ones that you can use. Now with a narrative, let's try this one. This one looks like it's more for an essay sort of style because it's got a topic sentence, supporting sentence, and stuff like that. But I do like this type that's in order listed. You get the idea of a beginning and a middle and an end. So let's just, I'll just refine the search a little bit. Graphic organizer for narrative writing, and this is sort of the type that I like. Let's see if I can just make that a bit smaller. So this way, what you're encouraging students to do is plan what will happen in their story. So I've done something really similar to this in mine, which I'll show you in just a second. But the idea is that certain students are very visual learners and they like this type of a style to organize their writing. Okay, the other idea is sentence starters, and sentence starters simply are either starting off a story for the students with a sentence or giving them the body sentences that they can finish off. So it's a really scaffolded way of writing for students, and I'm going to go over an example of that in just a minute. Direct instruction in verb tense forms is pretty self-explanatory. There are a lot of different resources that you can find online for doing this. And then the last bit that I wanted to talk about is just the idea of over-practice. So over-practice means getting the students to write and write, and they can even write on the same topic again and again until they sort of have it down and then move on to the next one. It seems boring, but students aren't bored when they're feeling successful. So here's an example of one that I did with a group of students. Okay, so the topic or the prompt was, he dropped his wallet. So what I asked the students to do was to think about the big picture of what we're going to be working on. The students were going to make a picture in their mind, make a plan, write it, improve it, and check it. So those are the steps. So in terms of having the students make a picture in their mind, I showed them this picture of a wallet. And I got them to think about why might the wallet be there, what is the backstory behind this wallet. And then I gave them a graphic organizer. And I was really specific in what I wanted them to put into their narrative. So at first, I had them think about who is in the story and where is the story. So in a narrative, students shouldn't include maybe more than one or two characters and one or two settings, because otherwise the story is going to get too complicated and they won't be able to finish it in 20 minutes. The next thing I had them do is to think about the incident or the problem. So that's sometimes called the inciting event or whatever. And I explained to them that this is the first exciting bump in the story where something happens. In this case, it was the lost wallet. Now, what I had them do differently than the way I was taught next was I actually had them go right to the end of the story or to the climax, so they could think about what happened when the character fixed the problem, and actually what the character did to fix the problem. And that way, there's a limit. The story just doesn't keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up with no resolution. There's a problem, there's a solution, and then all the students have to do is figure out what goes in between. For kind of the ending, I had them talk about how the character felt and what did the character do at the end. So based on this idea, we did a narrative planner of a boy named Tom. So basically, I gave them a sentence starter. Actually, beyond a sentence starter, it was very structured. This story is about a boy named Tom who moved to Vancouver from Taiwan. Now the students, for the first attempt, could change the name and change the setting. So if we go back to this graphic, this is where we began. Next, the incident. One day when Tom was walking to school, he dropped his wallet. So that could change. This could be a different story. One day when blank was doing something, something happened. So that's a grammatical structure with the verb tenses for the beginning incident of the story. Whoops. So then what I had them do next is I did it in order of A, B. Now C is down at the bottom of the page and you can't see it, but part C is actually the climax of the story. I'll make this narrative plan available, and in the last video under resources I'll show you the entire project. So this is what the class and I came up with. This story is about a boy named Tom who moved to Vancouver from Taiwan. One day when Tom was walking to school, he dropped his wallet. When he couldn't find his wallet, he asked a woman for help. The problem got bigger because the woman didn't understand his English. Tom had an idea. He showed the woman a picture of a wallet on his phone. Then she understood. She helped him find his wallet. Finally, Tom opened his wallet and all the money was still there. Tom felt so happy he bought the woman an ice cream cone. Great. So if you go back to here, this follows all of the points of the graphic organizer. So this was under the write it phase. The next phase with the students, we worked together to do some editing. So we added a bit more detail to improve it. Now this version is another version that I gave, and I actually gave this to the students before. This is one that's full of mistakes. So this story is about a grade 8 boy named Tom who moved to Vancouver from Taiwan. One day when Tom walks to his first day of school. So this was an exercise in teaching the students how to edit and check and improve. So this was my story that I worked together on with the class and modeled it with the class. They wrote their own similar story where a student may have lost something else. Actually, in the first version, it was a lost wallet, but then we repeated the activity and they were allowed to lose something else. Okay, so that's the end of the first session on the writing prompt, and I'm going to go over in the next video. Actually, I'm going to save this for the end. These are a couple of writing resources that you can check out, but I'll actually save these for the last video in the resource section.